What's up, guys? It's your boy Barca Boy 103. Today we're gonna be doing the match preview for Barcelona versus Celta Vigo in La Liga action, following of course securing our position in the semi-final of the Champions League. We are back in league action, huge doubleheader ahead of the Copa del Rey final in just over a week's time, as we do host Celta Vigo at the Montjuic. A very tough game for Barcelona, and a game that is needed to be won in order to have a step closer in winning the La Liga title. But before we get into it, make sure you guys smash that like button down below, and let's try and get to 200 likes on this video. It would be very much appreciated. Also, if you are new, make sure you subscribe down below if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Kickoff time for this match will be taking place at 4:15 p.m. local time, so we do have the early afternoon kickoff in the match tomorrow, and this match will be taking place at the Luis Campos Stadium in Montjuic, which of course is the temporary home of Barcelona. And the referee for this match has also been confirmed as well. On the pitch it will be Mario Lopez, and on the VAR it will be Carlos de Cerro Grande. Let's start off by taking a look at the league table, where Barcelona are currently sat top of La Liga on 70 points. After playing 31 matches, we have 22 wins, 4 draws, 5 losses. And look at our last 5 games in the league: 4 wins and 1 draw. Second place, Real Madrid, 66 points, 31 games played, 20 wins, 6 draws, and 5 losses. Their last 5 games in the league are 4 wins and 1 loss. So of course there is a 4-point advantage on Real Madrid, 7-point advantage on third place Atletico Madrid. Again, it's looking okay right now, but again, the points difference is still not high enough for us to be able to maybe drop off a little bit, maybe rotate and, you know, have a little bit of a foot off the gas. The point difference is so little that, you know, you have to keep going, especially with the Clasico in the league coming up. You need to have an advantage going into that match. Now, if you take a look at the top teams that will be facing this weekend, firstly, you do have Atletico Madrid traveling to be facing Las Palmas, and you have Real Madrid hosting Athletic Club at the Bernabeu. Of course, Athletic Club 4th place in the Liga, so this is 1st versus 4th. Very good game indeed. Athletic Club of course beat Rangers midweek, qualified for the semi-final of the Europa League, and Real Madrid of course got knocked out of the Champions League against Arsenal. This could be a big opportunity for hopefully Athletic Club to get a result against Madrid. I would say it's the Bernabeu is going to be difficult, but the form of Madrid at the Bernabeu this season has been piss poor. So again, 1st versus 4th, we already know how good Athletic Club can be. I believe he Valverde rested Inaki Williams as well, which is huge. So hopefully Athletic Club can do us a favor. And with that being said, we have to pounce on the opportunity and beat Celta. It's all well and good if Athletic Club do something against Real Madrid, but it'll mean absolutely nothing if we do not get a result against Celta Vigo. If you take a look at our opponents in Celta Vigo and where they're currently standing in the league table, they're currently sat in 7th place in La Liga on 43 points. After playing 31 matches, they have 12 wins, 7 draws, and 12 losses. Look at their last 5 games in the league: 3 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. They're currently, I believe, on an unbeaten run of about 8 or 9 games, and they just lost their recent game. They've done very well this season. I think last season, over the past few years even, they've been fighting relegation, and now all of a sudden they're fighting for European spots. Let's now take a look at our opponents in Celta Vigo. Like I mentioned, so far this season, they're doing very well for their expectation. We already know how good of a team Celta Vigo are, but they've been pretty much underperforming a lot over the past few years. But now they're performing, I believe, at the level that they are currently at, and they are a big threat in those European positions. The last time, of course, we faced them was, I believe, back in November, where we did draw 2-2. So again, the revenge tour continues. We were up 2-0. Casado got sent off, and we balled it. So of course the team has changed a lot mentally since then. We've dealt with red cards very well. Look at Cubarsi against Benfica as an example, or even the Clasico in the Super Cup final as well. You look at the line for this team as well. We could see something very similar in the match tomorrow. No Lamine Yamal in this game as well. Gerard Martin at left back, Inaki Peña in goal, Dani Olmo playing on the wing, Pedri playing in the 10, and despite all that, we needed a red card, and us mentally to Balde. Of course, at that time, Celta Vigo was still molding into the team they are now. November and middle of April, it's been a long time. But in that game, we were dominant despite our rotation, despite us missing key players. But we ended up throwing it away, conceding 2 goals in 2 minutes, following Casado's second yellow, which of course led to a red card. Now, if you take a look at Celta Vigo's last 5 matches in all competition, in their last match, they lost to Espanyol 2-0. They beat Mallorca 2-1, huge win for them. A 1-1 draw against Las Palmas, 1-0 win against Valladolid, and a 2-1 win against Leganes. What do you see here? Celta Vigo do not score goals. They can keep clean sheets, but their victories are very narrow. Let's take a look now at the last 3 games in all competition. Firstly is the 1-1 draw against Las Palmas. Very tight game. This considering the fact, of course, Las Palmas are fighting for relegation. This should have been 3 points for Celta, especially being at home. It was a game in which I believe Celta Vigo more so underperformed than Las Palmas performing themselves. Very unclinical up front as well. Celta, they got their first goal, but they couldn't even provide more from that, and they did miss a few big chances as well. So a dominant performance in a sense from them, but not a clinical one to get all 3 points. Next up, 2-1 win against Mallorca. Huge win there. Of course, I think Mallorca are in that top 10 fighting for those European spots. This was a huge win for them. You can see how they lined up in this game in a 4-5-1. You have a few Barcelona ex-players in this team, which we'll talk about later on, most importantly. But a game which they didn't dominate per se, a game where they kind of had a smash and grab-esque kind of result, where Mallorca had more of the possession, they had more of the chances, of course, being the home team. I do think Mallorca are a better team overall as well, on paper and stylistically as well, but Celta Vigo kind of played to their strengths a little bit, and they ended up getting a big result for them, one that of course puts them in a great spot in terms of European position. So a good win for them against a very good team. But following that, and in their last match in all competition, 2-0 loss to Espanyol, which of course does not bode well for us, as we are all Espanyol haters. This is a big result for Espanyol, going away to Celta and nicking a 2-0 result, keeping a clean sheet. Celta were very poor in this game. They could not break the defensive line of Espanyol. They barely reached the final third at some points. And Iago Aspas, of course, the star striker and captain of Celta, came out after the game saying that he hates playing against these kind of teams and much rather prefers to play the top teams like, Betis, Barcelona, Mallorca, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, because they're more open and they can exploit the space. So maybe a hint of what's to come tomorrow, but very poor from Celta. They just couldn't break the line in the end, and Espanyol held a very strong defense, and they nicked 3 big points for them. So overall, final thoughts on Celta Vigo. They're of course a very good team. They're definitely overperforming and overachieving for their expectations right now, and that's all down to their manager, Claudio Guedes Gonzalez, who is doing an absolutely exceptional job for Celta. I think he came in recently. He's had a huge impact and a huge resurgence on Celta as well. Stylistically, they adapt a lot to different scenarios. They've been playing a lot of different systems this season as well, and most importantly, they have been effective. Now, in terms of players to look out for Celta, is of course a lot. You have Guaita in goal, who's a good goalkeeper. Marcos Alonso, former Barcelona player, and Oscar Mingueza, both former Barcelona players. In defense, of course, Oscar Mingueza having an absolutely brilliant season for his level. Elias Mariba, another former Barcelona player there as well. Iago fucking Aspas. If you don't know, everybody knows. Iago Aspas is very much a good striker in La Liga. Turns into prime Fernando Torres against us every single time. At home, we tend to have a good record against Celta. We batted them, 6-1, 5-1, 4-1. The one is always Iago Aspas. That is the main thing. Iago Aspas has a massive agenda against Barcelona. He turns into the best version of it. He only turns up twice a season. It's Barcelona at home and Barcelona away. It's a very good team, and they are very stylistically a team that can definitely cause Barcelona issues with their tight defense and also their clinicality up front in majority of games. Again, they don't win by high score lines. They don't win 3-0, 4-0, 3-1, 5-1. They nearly win games 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, but most importantly, they cause issue for their opponents and they get the job done. Now, we do have one very quick injury update, and it is of course on the injury to our starting left back in Alejandro Balde. A lot of reports came out on the Monday before the Dortmund game, so just a few days ago, that Balde did more tests and it looks like the injury is more serious than initially expected, and that pretty much it is impossible for him to be fit for the Copa del Rey final next weekend, and he's really just eyeing the first leg of the semifinal, which he is also a doubt for. It's very hard for him to make that UCL semifinal first leg, but it's a bit more realistic with whereas the Copa del Rey final, there's absolutely no chance. So following more exams over the past few days, it looks like the injury is not, super serious. It's something we should be worried about, but it is a bit worse than initially expected. Now, this morning, Miguel from AES came out saying that Balde is working tirelessly to recover from his hamstring injury, aiming to play in the Champions League semifinal against Inter on April the 30th. Of course, that's the first leg. His availability depends on his condition and relapse risk. If not ready for the first leg, the folks will be, of course, having him ready for the second leg in Milan. So again, he'll be back at some point, I would say, the next 2 weeks. He's already been out injured for a week. It's a 3-week injury, so the most important thing is whether or not Flick and Barcelona want to take the risk for him. Risk him, maybe there's going to be a relapse, he might need surgery, he'll be out for another 6 months, so that's really the deciding factor at this point, which I would say risk him because, we're going for the quadruple, this is the time to risk players, but if you risk him, then we don't win the trophies, then he's out for 6 months, and it's quite a headache, to be honest. But we'll see what happens with the Balde. But again, he will be back in the next 2 weeks or so. The question is, will he play the first leg of the semifinal of the Champions League or the second leg? 100% at this point, he is out for the Copa del Rey final. Time now to get into the press conference reaction of Hansi Flick, who of course spoke this afternoon at the Ciutat Sportiva Joan Gamper in Barcelona. And I tell you what, Flick was absolutely fuming in this press conference, and we'll get into why. He had a very strong attitude. You can see in the video on the screen there how angry he was. Again, not at the reporters or anything, but at current situations that the club is facing. So let's get and see what Flick has to say this afternoon in the presser. He came out, he was asked about the Celta Vigo match. He said, "Look, do you know how many games we played in recent weeks? We're not going to complain, but this only happens here. Players are protected in every league. I like to have a chat with those in charge. Maybe they're not in the best of times. We weren't good in Dortmund, but I'm proud of the players. When we started preseason, if someone told us that on April 18th we'd had the chance of a treble, we would all have signed for it. In the end, we only lost 1 game. We have to be positive. We're aware of what we're doing, and the team knows what it has to do tomorrow." On the tiredness, he said, "Look, we arrived very late, but we tried to manage it well. We're very young. When a game is about to start, you have to be 100% at your best. That's how I see it. Obviously, someone could feel tired, but they can ask for substitution. That's the attitude I want. In the end, you have to look at the mirror and be honest with yourself. I'm proud of my players because they give everything. Incredible players and a spectacular club." On the UCL first leg against on the UCL tie, should I say, against Inter, saying they have a very clear idea of playing and they play very well. I admire their game. I love Paval. He's one of my former players, and I'd love to see him again. They're a fantastic team, and they also have a great coach. There's as unresting Kounde, and Kounde's fitness. The problem with Kounde is that if we train 30 minutes less one day, he'll go and have a run for 30 minutes. He's an incredible player, and he's in a top physical condition. I talk with him, and there's honesty about the physical condition. He also shows the data that we have, but I need them to be honest with me, and Kounde always tells me he's fine. So I can understand his perspective here. If you rest Kounde, for example, let's say you sum him off with half an hour to go, Kounde will go and just do a half an hour jog or half an hour training session after the game. So from his perspective, might as well just play him for the full game if he wants to keep up his fitness and stuff like that. Since the drop off from Flick's perspective from Kounde to Hector Fort is somewhat significant. Then as on Lamine Yamal, everyone knows that Lamine Yamal at 17, he is a genius. He has a lot of pressure on him, and we need him on the pitch, but only if he's at his best. If we see him well and the results, he can tell us he's fine. He'll play like everyone else. Then as on Inigo, saying it's very important for me to have players and the coaches on the field, speaking organized as a team. He sees everything and can manage from behind the scenes. I've said it before, I'm very happy with him, and I appreciate his professionalism, and he's an undisputed leader for this team. Then he was asked again on the match schedule, saying that, "Look, I don't want to make excuses or explain. I'm happy in the sense that we are not playing at 2 p.m. against Valladolid on Sunday now. That's fine by me, but why can't we play at 6 p.m. instead of 9 p.m.? I like to see the guy who organizes the schedules because it's a joke. If we're successful in Europe, the Spanish league will benefit. I'm speechless because it's unsustainable. Every federation cares for their teams. They don't care about the rest of the players going to bed at 5 a.m. So Flick's upset because Barcelona always have a late kickoff. So you play at 9 p.m. The game will finish at 11. You need an hour probably to leave the stadium, another hour to get back to Barcelona. You're back at Barcelona at 1 a.m. You don't get home till 2 a.m. You probably don't get to bed until 3 a.m. Then you have to wake up the next day at 11 a.m. to go back to training. Flick, all I can tell you is welcome to La Liga. Everyone that runs the federation and that runs La Liga are Real Madrid fans, and they pray for your downfall. This is absolutely no surprise in my books. Talks about care. Look at PSG. They get games cancelled when they have Champions League quarterfinals. And the Premier League, they always put the Champions League clubs on a Saturday morning kickoff in England. Look at Italy as well. They either do the same thing or sometimes they even postpone the game. But us, they make it as hard as it can be because they pray for our downfall. Despite us being successful, being benefit for them, putting more money in their pockets, more eyes on the league, they don't care about that. They rather us fail than us be successful with everyone else be successful. So soon he clocks that, the better. He's then asked on Dani Olmo's fitness, and look, he's ready to play, but we'll see tomorrow. Firmino is doing very well, but we'll see. On the game, of course, it'll be a difficult match. We have to be at our best. They're a very good team with a very defined style, and they perform very well away from home as well. On the Celta Vigo manager, I have absolute respect for his work. He has a very clear and compelling approach. He plays attacking, and it's beautiful to watch. He has nothing to do with his age. He trained and developed in the club's youth teams. I have a lot to do with him and his work as well. Finally, he was asked on Balde being fit for the Copa del Rey finals, and look, we'll see. We'll have to see how he progresses day by day. I'm not sure, but we'll have to wait and see. So of course, Flick there leaving it open again, like I already said to you guys. He's got no chance. And that concludes Flick's press conference reaction ahead of the match against Celta Vigo tomorrow. Let's now get into the lineup prediction. We're going to start with the manager, of course, Hansi Flick. I'm going to try my best to predict his lineup. I think it will be fairly difficult to predict. Of course, will he go full strength? We have, of course, this big doubleheader before the Copa del Rey final, just coming off the back of the Dortmund game. The Dortmund game was on Tuesday, so there is a little bit of a cushion of rest. It's very, very hard to predict, but I think that Flick will go with this lineup on the screen right now with Wojciech Szczesny in goal, a back four of Jules Kounde, Pau Cubarsi, Inigo Martinez, and Gerard Martin. Midfield three of Frankie de Jong, Pedri, Fermin Lopez. Front three of Lamine Yamal, Lewandowski, and Raphinha. I think he'll make the two changes in the sense of bringing Inigo back in the team and starting Pedri. I think Flick's mindset really is just to play his best team from now to the end of the season. Maybe make that full rotation against Valladolid in between the Champions League semifinals. But I think from now until the League Clasico, I think he wants to play his best team, barring that Valladolid game. That's how I see Flick's perspective. Maybe, and I do hope he'll make one or two rotations, but it's so hard to predict. I mean, I can definitely see Gavi starting the game, but that's pretty much it. I think that back five is guaranteed. I think that front three is guaranteed as well. Midfields where he has maybe a bit of wiggle room. He could, of course, either the Olmo come back and start, which I don't think he won't want to risk right now. We, of course, can see Gavi in the team. But the front three, maybe we could see Ferran start. But again, Lewandowski is going for the Pichichi, and Mbappe suspended this weekend, so I don't think that will be the case. Of course, Ferran Torres can start out wide, but not as effective as he is out wide than he is up front. But it's very, very difficult to predict. I don't know what Flick will do, to be honest. That's why I thought I'm going to predict he's going to go full strength. But I think from this Gala 11, I can see one or two changes, but it's just really hard to call where he will make those rotations. But I think that Flick will go with a fairly strong team for this match, and I think he will go with this lineup on the screen right now. But of course, in the comments down below, let me know what you think Flick will go with. Now I'm going to show you guys my lineup, what I would do if I was the Barcelona coach. I've gone a bit AWOL. I've made a lot of changes. I've gone with this lineup on the screen right now with Szczesny in goal, a back four of Hector Fort, Cubarsi, Inigo, and Gerard Martin. Midfield three of Eric Garcia, Pedri, and Raphinha. Front three of Gavi, Lewandowski, and Ferran Torres. So let me explain my thought process here. The squad players are going to be very, very crucial in the next month. Like I mentioned, we cannot play the Gala 11, the best team week in, week out. There will be, I think, unfortunately, an injury coming at some point. Maybe not serious one. Maybe they'll miss a game, suspension, red card. These squad players need to be ready. Most importantly, they have to be match sharpness and mindset at the right point as well. So I think the squad players playing is very important. In regards to the back line, of course, I would give Kounde some rest, even though it's pretty much impossible. I want Ford to get some minutes because we don't know what's going to happen with Gerard Martin. Gerard Martin can get maybe a little bit of a niggle. He could dip in form, of course, as well. So I want to give Ford some minutes. I want to be very, very cautious of Frenkie de Jong. If Frenkie de Jong gets injured, we are beyond cooked. So I would, of course, give some time to Eric Garcia. In this scenario, by the way, Pedri would be the captain, not Eric Garcia. I forgot to change that. I would start Pedri since he was, of course, already rested against Dortmund. In the front three, of course, like I mentioned, I think there needs to be rotation. So I've gone with Raphinha in the 10 and Gavi off the left because I think in a game like this where the defense will be quite tight, I don't want Gavi playing in the 10 because I don't think he can exploit the spaces. But I think on the left, he can do a much better job. I think Raphinha can be in the 10, exploiting the spaces in behind. Of course, I've gone with Ferran Torres on the right hand side to rest Lamine Yamal and Lewandowski up front. So from Flick's team, I've made 3 changes, which again is not the complete end. Oh, sorry, my bad. 4 changes, which is again, it's not the complete end of the world. If you want, maybe start Lamine, maybe start Frankie, maybe make one extra change, I wouldn't mind that. But most importantly for me is that I need and I want the squad players to get minutes when they can, to be match sharpness and be match aware when we do really need them. So this is the line that was left for this match. But of course, in the comments down below, let me know if you had to pick my lineup or Flick's lineup. Time now for my score prediction. What do I believe the result will be in this match? I think it's going to be a very, very tight game. I think it will be exactly like Liga, exactly like Betis, where it's going to be a tough, ruggedy, tired Barcelona that's trying to go out there and try and get a result. I go on the score prediction of 2-1 to Barcelona and near a win. We are definitely conceding because Iago Aspas is definitely scoring in this game, really just down to the front line outscoring Celta. I think this will be a very, very tight game. I do think that out of the Betis, Leganes, and Celta Vigo game, this is the game where I see Barcelona very, very likely to drop points. Of course, we're coming off the back of the loss against Dortmund, so we need some kind of confidence and momentum to flip the script, be more confident in ourselves. But Celta are a good team. I'm very, very reliant on the Montjuic having a big effect. You know, playing at home will be beneficial to us, of course, but this is going to be a tight game. I see a very, very good chance in Barcelona, unfortunately, dropping points. Again, depends on how strong Flick will go, how the team is feeling as well. I think we can definitely get a result in this game. We must get a result with Madrid facing Athletic Club as well. I think it'll be very, very narrow. I've gone Barcelona win this match by 2-1, but of course, in the comments down below, let me know what you think the scoreline will be. So that was a match preview for Barcelona versus Celta Vigo in La Liga. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, of course, make sure you drop a like down below, and of course in the comments down below as well, let me know your thoughts on everything we did discuss. Main thing I want to first see, of course, is your score prediction, and secondly, on those lineups. Firstly, would you rather pick my lineup or Flick's lineup? What do you think Flick will go with? What would you go with if you're the manager? Leave me all your thoughts down below, and of course, make sure you guys subscribe down below as well if you haven't already, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the live watch along. Set the reminder on the screen and come and join me and watch the game with me. Follow after the match by my match reviews. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Nothing but the 3 points, or else our momentum is gonna absolutely die down, and we desperately need it in this moment. Take care and Forza Barca.